This is the JDTab here. It's from the big Chinese retailer JD.com. They decided to create their own custom tablet with a few other companies like Leeco, Harman Kardon, who handles the speakers, Meizu, the operating system, and we have Foxconn, the assembly and everything else. So this one has the Retina panel that we're all familiar with. 7.9 inches, 2048 by 1536 resolution, has 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any expansion to that, so there's no micro SD card slot. There's no GPS as well, and no HDMI out on it. So the CPU it's running is a quad core. It has 2 Cortex A72 cores that can turbo up to 2 GHz, and then another 2 lower powered ones with a maximum of 1.6 GHz. The GPU is a PowerVR Rogue GSX 6250, and the battery is 6200 mAh. Now the build of this tablet is very nice. It's premium. It has a unibody metal rear housing on there, a rear 8 megapixel camera with a microphone next to it. You can see that little dot there. And you see down the bottom there the branding with the Harman Kardon. So they have handled and tuned the speakers and audio on this. 2 downward firing speakers and a USB Type-C port at the bottom there for data and charging. Now charging is one of the downsides to this tablet. It's very slow. The charger is only 5 volts 2 amps, and it takes around 5 hours and 10 minutes or so to fully charge this thing. They've making use of this large bottom bezel we have on there, so they've included menu keys here, capacitive ones. So I think that JDTab did a good thing doing this. A lot of people don't actually like them, but I prefer having the hardware navigation keys, then you don't lose space with on-screen keys there. The front-facing camera is 5 megapixels. Next to that is the ambient light sensor, which can control the screen's brightness automatically. And then on the right-hand side, we have metal volume buttons, and at the top there, another metal power button. These buttons feel really good. Overall, the build quality is excellent, very high quality here. Lastly, along the top, there's a secondary microphone, 3.5mm headphone jack that supports microphones, and this thin little strip along the top here, you can just see it. That's actually plastic there. That's for the wireless antenna reception. So the screen looks great, very good contrast. Colors look excellent as well, deep blacks, fully laminated. Now I don't know whether it has Gorilla Glass on there or actually Dragon Tail, what brand I've used. But I would say it's definitely scratch resistant glass because it doesn't come with pre-applied screen protectors, and at this price I definitely expected it to be. So 324 ppi, and the maximum brightness comes out to be exactly 450 lux, which is very good. So overall, a nice panel. If you want to see it in person, all you need to do is just step down into your local Apple store and take a look at the iPad Mini 4. It's the same panel. The tablet is running Android 6.0, and it's based on the skin, which is Meizu's own Flyme 5.2 is the version of it. So when you get it, as I expected, there's no Google Play on there because they don't allow that in China. So you have to go along and install that. Luckily, it's not hard. All you need to do is just Google Play installer version 2 for MIUI 8. That'll bring up the results. It's an APK. Install that. This is it right here. And once you run through that, it will actually get Play Services, framework, everything on there, and it works perfectly without any problems. So a quick look at Chrome performance, which works okay, but I've noticed that it isn't the smoothest or the fastest tablet I have used when it comes to Chrome there. Perhaps it needs just a little bit more optimization, but loading things up in general does work okay. And because the screen is so sharp and the brightness of it, it's a real pleasure to use for things like this, for website, for reading. And we'll have a look at ebooks now. This ebook here is Dan Brown's Inferno, so just your basic text, and that actually looks really good. Now you can see some of that light leakage I was mentioning at the start of the video, where it's slightly wider along the top there. So a minor nuisance, but performance of that is fine. And you'll see that auto rotation, yeah, a little bit slower there, but these kind of ebooks, performance is, I find, is fine because no one's going to be skipping through that fast on these. Now here's a heavier PDF file. This one, on the other hand, is a little slower, so you skip ahead too fast. And of course, it's going to be playing a bit of catch up then. If you're searching for something or you want to skim through the pages real quick, then you can't go too fast. You're going to have to go about that pace at it, because if you skip ahead like this, then you see there that, yeah, the chipset needs a bit of time there, but overall performance is good. And again, because of the screen, the sharpness of it, it looks really nice, great for reading. And there's just a little bit of zoom there of the text there. So very good screen for ebooks. Audio is one of the strengths of this tablet. The 3.5mm headphone jack puts out some really good audio. It's crystal clear and has a good level of volume to it as well. When they normally limit that right down to stop you from damaging your ears, here I find it's a little bit louder than normal and excellent quality. So let's have a listen to the downward firing speakers now. There's two of them. Of course, they're tuned by Harman Kardon, and you'll hear just how good they sound. They're really not bad at all. You can see from that they have a maximum output of 88 decibels, which is quite good for the size of this tablet. And on to the fun part. So let's have a look at gaming performance. Now I'm going to use a Bluetooth controller, just a little easier and you can see more of the screen. And for that I'm going to use a GameSir G4. So first up is Asphalt Extreme. So you can see there are some choppy moments. Now the graphics quality is set to optimal. And I think it's doing alright considering the screen resolution. You always got to remember that the GPU is driving 2048 by 1536, which is a demanding resolution. This is a touch-based fighting game. This is Mortal Kombat X. So a bit of slow to understand. It's not running the fastest, but it looks like it's running better than the Atoms at least, which tended to be more of slideshow. Wow, okay, this one's lagging pretty bad. It's almost as if they can't really handle this game, can it? Or maybe it's throttling. Oh, that's too slow. Look at that. That's shocking lag. So stuttery. It's dropping down to like 5 frames per second or something. So this game, this isn't playable. Not this one. And this last title is Real Racing 3. At least this game has playable frame rates. It's not looking too bad so far. Ooh, a little bit of stutter there. But it's playable. So after that gaming, let's have a look at the temperatures. So the front of it, 34 degrees, I just saw flashed up just then. It gets warm to the touch, that's about it. But the longer you game, of course, the warmer it's going to get. I've noticed that most of the heat will generate just around here. That's obviously where the chipset is located. So 30 degrees. That's dropping down quite quickly since I've just stopped gaming. The cameras on this tablet I find to be better than your typical budget Chinese tablet, although this really isn't a budget tablet because it's retailing for around about 260. So on the rear we have an autofocus 8 megapixel camera. On the front, a 5 megapixel one. I did take a few snaps with it, and I think the quality, it's okay, but I wouldn't be walking around like an American tourist with my iPad taking photos in Italy with this. No, this doesn't have that kind of quality. Save that for your mobile phone. So here's a look at the webcam. This is the front-facing one, and it's alright as long as you have enough light. Now that's pretty much the case for any tablet, even laptop webcam. So as soon as I step into areas which are a little bit darker here, you can see now it becomes very grainy. So, I mean, it's alright, the camera. I have seen a hell of a lot worse than this one. But, I mean, just don't expect flagship performance from the front camera. Sample here from the rear camera, so you can shoot up to 1080p, which isn't bad for a tablet. Quality, as you can see, is, well, it's average, not really the best. It does have autofocus too. And very quickly to run through some benchmarks. So this is Antutu 6.2.7. Not a bad score. This is better than a Snapdragon 625. Although the GPU, well, I don't know. I'll have to look into that in more detail. Now here is Geekbench 4. Okay scores. I mean, the single core score there, that's actually quite decent. 1500. Not bad. You see the higher end devices get about 1800, 1900. So really not too bad. Multi-core scores a little less. And here we have the internal storage. So 140 megabytes per second reads and 120 writes. Again, okay, this is fine. That's nothing amazing, but it's all right. There's just more details there with the sensors. So battery life, very important in a tablet. Now using the Work2 battery life test, set the display to 200 nits of brightness, and here we have 6 hours and 39 minutes from the 6200 mAh battery. I thought this was actually a decent score. This is a lot better than the i5 Mini 4S, which gets around 4 hours. So good. Battery life, if you lower the brightness, I do believe you can get at least 7 hours out of this thing. So not too bad. And lastly, wireless speeds, connected up to wireless AC. Did manage to get over 100 megabits per second. Not the fastest. I've seen better out of mobile phones and other tablets, but the range seems decent as well. Not too bad. Okay, not too bad here. And that is it for benchmarks. So that concludes my review there of the J01 from JD.com. So the JDTab seems like a very nice little tablet. The build quality is great, premium screen. We all know this screen. It's a great screen. It's been in hundreds of tablets now. Well, probably not hundreds, but you get the point there. Excellent build, good battery life. Where it comes down to the cons, I would say that it's just a little bit too expensive really for what they're asking. Yes, it has the premium audio on there, which does sound good and better than most tablets, but the performance of it is just lacking. If they'd put something like an Exynos octa-core in there, that would be a little bit better. Something that performed a little bit faster, could actually push this resolution a little better when it came to gaming, because as you saw there, Modern Combat 5 got quite laggy and stuttery. In fact, it wasn't even really playable, so very disappointing performance there. It also has no micro SD card slot, no HDMI out, so it makes it a little bit hard to recommend this tablet. If you're after a premium tablet with really good speakers, good for ebooks and media, with the battery, okay, yes, and the price is right, then yeah, this will be a tablet to get. Otherwise, I would look towards other options out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you back with more up-and-coming reviews soon.